One day in Ramadan, a poor family was sitting down to eat the unsavory meal placed in front of them, and they were waiting for the call of the evening Maghrib prayer. The head of the family owned nothing, and he was sitting there contemplating his worried thoughts. He kept remembering the conversation that went between him and the landlord. That cruel tyrant who had threatened him with eviction in case the outstanding rent was not paid today. What could this poor man do who had never had a scrumptious meal and who owned nothing? The man was forced out of these unsettling thoughts by a crude voice that belonged to his cruel landlord, who broke into the home and stood in front of the poor father who was surrounded by his worn-out family. The tyrant started profaning at him and kicking him. The voices of the poor family rose in anguish, and they were saying, "Sufficient for us is Allah, and He is the best disposer for us." After beating him, this vicious landlord left the house scornfully and took away the poor man's old furniture with him and left the poor family all but dead. Meanwhile, the sound to the call of the prayer rose, which said, "Allah is the greatest." This was the first day of Ramadan and a time when supplications were accepted. The poor man rose his hands toward the sky and supplicated, "O Allah, avenge him! O Allah, avenge him!" Then he kept seeking Allah's forgiveness and reciting the chants of "There is neither any power nor might except Allah." Only 3 days had passed after this event when that tyrant started complaining about a pain in his legs. He was shifted to the hospital where doctors ran tests and x-rays and diagnosed him with cancer. They advised that his foot must be amputated, else the cancer would spread in the whole leg. He left the hospital after 10 days with only one foot, and that he had lost the foot with which he had beaten the poor man. His wife suggested that he went through it all because of the curse of the poor man who he had humiliated in front of his family, and did not sympathize with his poverty and neediness. She reminded him of saying of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in which he had said, "Fear the curse of the poor, for there is no obstacle between his curse and Allah." She advised him to go to the man and ask for his forgiveness and compensate him for beating him and humiliating him and snatching his furniture, which was all that he had left. The landlord approved of his wife's advice and bought new furniture for the poor family. He waived off their outstanding dues and went to the poor man to apologize to him and weep before him so that he might forgive him.
وقل اعملوا فسيرى الله عملكم ورسوله والمؤمنون وستردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون